Hi, everybody. Welcome to the BA Zone. I'm Marianne Morrison. I'm just setting up the pre-show. We're going to get going here in just a little while. Kathleen is working on a special project this month, so I'm your one and only host this evening. But we'll have a great time anyway. And we're just going to get going here in about 6 minutes. I just have a couple of things that I've got to take care of here, like lowering my monitor display so that you don't get the reflection of my glasses. So that's always a problem. I just see how low it will go where I can still see what's going on. And I think we're only on Facebook this evening. Not sure if we're anywhere else. Typically, we're all over the place, but this evening might be a little different. Hold on. Hope everybody's having a great week so far. And let's see. Okay. Yeah, we've had some excitement in our area of the woods here, as usual. I don't know when weather ever became such a topic, but it seems like a hot topic all the time now because our weather has just been so wacky. And I do mean wacky this year. I was away this weekend, and I happened to be looking on the internet, and I see all of these brand new vehicles coming down a river of mud. We had such heavy, heavy rains. I think it was something like 6 inches in a couple of hours, and it caused this huge, little tiny creek to overflow. And the next thing you know, it's sweeping away cars, brand new cars from a car place, and they were just floating, jamming up against the bridge, and half the town was like full. It was just crazy. I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to go home to? But thank God our place was okay. But this weekend alone, I think in 2 towns there were 400 homes damaged. So we've got all the raging rivers and waters and rains on the East Coast, and the West Coast has got all the fires going on. You think we could get the two together and sort of, make a wash out of the two, but it's just been absolutely nutty around here. So hopefully where you are, it's not so bad. And hopefully you've been enjoying the summer, unless you're from down under, and then I guess you're enjoying the winter. But other than that, it's been great. Kathleen and I have been really busy coming up with new things for you guys that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. So we've been pretty busy with that and our regular jobs, and just like everybody else, just going. Don't forget tonight, if you know anyone who might be interested in what we're talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about time management. Not so much focused on the tools. There's plenty of tools out there, but more or less focusing what you would have to do to get your information into those tools, and or if you're not using those tools at all. So if you know anybody who might be interested in this information, please pass it along. And as always, if you have any requests, just go through the bazone.com. I don't have the equipment this evening or the connectivity to answer any questions, but please feel free to put any questions out on our website, thebazone.com, and we'll be sure to get back to you on that. So we've only got 2 minutes to go, so make sure you've got your cup of tea, your fuzzy slippers, your wine, or your beverage of choice, and get comfortable and enjoy the show. Just give us another minute. I'll take another sip. Oh, that's good. And by the way, if you haven't signed up for our mailing list, feel free to do so. You'll be the first to find out what's going on, what the new and upcoming stuff is before anybody else does. And we won't promise not to use any of that information other than giving you that type of content quickly. So feel free to do that. Just go out to thebazone.com and we're right there, and we're there for you. We do this for you, and just any type of issues you might have as a business analyst or anything else in your business dealings. that you think we might be able to answer, we'd love to help you. So make sure you do that if you need to. And let's see what else is going on in our lives. Poor Murphy and Tinker hang out together. Those are our pups. We don't have the pictures tonight. And Tink got his hair cut this weekend, so he's all nice and short and tiny little. He looks like a totally different. He looks like he lost 10 pounds. He's only like a 10-pound dog to begin with. But, once they get a haircut, it's like they go down to like nothing. And it's so funny. Sometimes when they're wet, they kind of just look like little squirrels, but they're adorable. Dogs and goats. We love goats. I don't know what kind of animal you love. I'm just sort of rambling at this point because, but I do love goats. I love goats. I love to watch those goats in yoga. It's just, goats are really cute. I don't know that I'd want to be doing yoga with them, but they're absolutely adorable. And speaking of absolutely adorable, we are ready to roll. It is 8:00 and welcome everybody. I'm so happy to have you here. My name is Marianne Morrison. I'm one half of the BA Zone. Kathleen Sinnott, my other half, is working on a special project this month. So she may be in, she may be out. More likely she'll be out. So you've got me, and I'll try to keep you entertained with the information tonight. We're going to be talking about time management. And did you ever hear someone say, and I even say this all the time, that there's not enough hours in the day, or I don't have enough time to get everything done that I need to. It's not so much about time management, really, because we can't control time, although maybe we can, wink, wink to the conspiracy theorists. It's really more about self-management, right? We can't really control time. We've got 24 hours in a day, but we can definitely self-manage how we move through our day. So controlling what we can by creating a formula for success that initially may seem like a little work, but once you do it a while, it becomes a habit that will reduce your stress and make you more efficient and productive and give you more free time, which we all want. And self-management really is time management. Like I said, we're all given 24 hours in a day. So how is it that some people are able to accomplish so much more in those 24 hours than others do? And it's because they have a formula that allows them to focus and move forward. So if you're someone, or someone who feels like they're overwhelmed with the amount of tasks that need to be completed, or they think they need to complete all those tasks right now or all at once, or they can't seem to get ahead of the task, they're constantly doing something, but not necessarily what they should be doing. They can never finish what they start. They're sort of always reacting rather than being proactive. Or maybe you have nothing better to do tonight and you just want to join us for the show. And again, please feel free to tag everyone else. Just to let you know, tonight we're on Facebook, but normally you can catch us on Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube, and obviously our website, thebazone.com. And if you have any comments during this evening's show, please go to thebazone.com, where I'm not able to respond tonight to the comments due to my location. But we invite you to share, like, and pass us along. So tonight's show is for you, those folks that feel like you're overwhelmed. And I'm excited to be talking about this because a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety comes out of not being able to focus and get what you need done. And there are lots of time management tools out there. There's lots of hacks. And tonight we're just going to focus on what all of those time management tools would require you to do anyway. And that's to understand the basis of how you prioritize your work and how you'd get that done. So where do you start? Before you can manage your time effectively, you sort of need to know how you're currently spending your time, right? So you have to sort of assess the damage. I like to call assess the damage. Where are you spending most of your time? So sometimes we have, time leaks that we're not even aware of. Time just sort of gets away from us. Sometimes you'll be like, Sometimes you're really focused in a job and time flies. And then there's other times where you look back and go, what did I just do for the past hours? I have no idea. And it's a time leak kind of thing. So what I like to do is similar to when, you're trying to eat healthy, which I'm always trying to do. And I go, sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But I do try. So, and the first thing they always tell you to do with that is keep a log or track what you're eating. So it's the same time, the same concept. What you want to do when you're trying to figure out where your time is going. You want to keep a log, and I mean really keep a log. And this is sort of helps you to be very mindful about what you're doing. It's sort of like throughout the course of your day, every day for a week, or 5 business days. You can make it the entire weekend too, because obviously your personal time is included in this. You want to list down, the time, what you're doing, and how long you've been doing it for. And you may be surprised. You may think maybe like you're only watching a little bit of TV or there's some TV in the background. But it can be very distracting and you have no idea. You really don't realize it because you've been just doing it for so long. So you want to log everything and how long you're doing it and whether you actually finish that task or not. Sometimes we say we're going to do a task and we get distracted and we come back. And so you want to really focus on, did you do it? Did you get it done? Did you kind of feel good about getting it done? So if you're performing a work task, as you start that work task, for example, you can say, okay, I'm working on workflows for the next hours for a particular process that you're doing. During that time you're doing that flow process, also note what kind of distractions occurred. Sometimes we'll hear a ding from social media and we'll turn and we'll look at our phones. And that's a distraction. But you still want to note that down, how many times you're doing that a day, how many times you're responding to email while you're trying to do your task. And all of these things sort of add up, right? And we're trying to get a clear picture here of just where most of our time is being spent. And a lot of it is this sort of distractions and time leaks. How often are we just surfing the internet? How often are we talking to coworkers? I mean, get down to that level of detail. I know it's painful. A lot of times as a manager, I will ask people to do this during their workday so we can find out if we need to add another business analyst or if there's something they're focused on that can go to a different person. So you should get used to kind of doing this. You may be asked to do this in your career anyway. And that's sort of just to get a heads up of where we are with everything. And from that, you can start to analyze where your time is going and begin to plan how to correct some of those things or how to become more efficient in productivity wise and the quality of work of what you're doing. So once you do that whole analysis, the next step would be to begin planning. And this planning's the first part of the planning is more of a you might do this maybe monthly, but typically you're going to be doing little bits of planning every single day. But the first piece you want to do as part of planning is to make a to-do list. Now, I love to-do lists. I work off of them all the time. It helps me remember what I'm supposed to do to begin with, but it also helps me to prioritize what I'm doing. So the first phase of that is make a giant list. And I mean include every task that you do on a daily basis that is part of a project that's upcoming. List everything out. You can do it with a paper and pencil. You can do it on a spreadsheet. Obviously, there's a lot of apps out there, but you don't really need them at this point. And sometimes they don't have all the things that you need anyway. Some of them are very good. Some of them aren't. You can put this on your phone, however you want to do it. You want to create a laundry list. And don't worry about how long it is. And a lot of people do start to freak out when they see how much they have to do or what's coming down the pipe. But just make that list as complete as possible. If you have really large tasks, break them down into smaller tasks that are easy to accomplish and get done in a certain time frame. It's almost like if you're doing business rules, you want to get down to that base unit, that one little task that if you do it, you can check it off and not, It's not like I have to do this and this and this in one sentence as a task. Try to get down to that one little factual task and try to break it down that way. Once you get that big laundry list together, you want to try to categorize each of the tasks. So, and this could be from different perspectives. Obviously, I'm giving you tips, but everybody kind of does their own thing differently, right? We all think a little differently. We all plan a little differently. So this is sort of just to give you a framework, and then you can tailor it to the way you work. But when you're categorizing each task, this could be by a project. There's different tasks within a project. So maybe you want to give that as a category of, say, an enhancement 100, whatever that might be, whatever your title is. And those are all the tasks that are underneath there. For example, right now I'm working on creating navigation maps for a piece of software that's existing and there's no documentation for it. So every day I'm saying, okay, I'm going to look at this main menu nav and I'm going to click through all those screens and I'm going to map out all of the features and everything that needs to be done. And I try to make sure that I can get it done. You don't want to make it so long and huge that you feel defeated before you even start. So again, break them down into the smaller units, but you can do it by project. Sometimes it can be things that need to occur. You need to do research. You need to do joint application design sessions, workflows, nav maps, however you want to break that area down. And I normally start with the projects first because obviously they have due dates. So you have to complete them by a certain time frame. Another reason you want to categorize tasks is sometimes you may want to group like tasks from the same category. So, for example, if you're doing research on something, you get into sort of like a research mindset. And maybe if you have enough time, instead of doing a research piece here and a research piece down here, you might want to combine the two and do both research projects at the same time. Again, it's what you think you can get done and how you feel comfortable working. But a lot of people get focused and it takes them a little while to adjust to work on a different type of tasks. So you can do that. You can categorize them and get them all done in one. You can say, I'm going to work on this type of thing today. A good example of that might be recently I had done also messages. You know how you get messages that pop up on screens? So instead of working on just the pop-ups that occurred in one feature, one component of a piece of software, I worked on the messaging for the entire global system, all messages. So you could do that instead of doing piecemeal. Again, however you feel comfortable working. Once you get that category level done, you have your list, you have everything categorized. Now you want to start to go through these items and prioritize them. Now, again, you can prioritize them multiple ways. You could just say from level of importance 1 to 4. We typically between 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4 is how you want to prioritize them as how important they are, or by the due date they have to be done by, and that's sort of how you prioritize them. I tend to use the same scoring system, that I use for bugs or enhancements. I'll say critical, high, medium, or low. And critical obviously means, that the task requires your immediate attention. And that could be that the project or task has a deadline that's due. It could be an emergency, either internally or externally. It could be contract constraints or government rules that need to be implemented by a certain date. It could be something that your boss requests. God forbid your boss should request something, but they do. And sometimes you can say, well, is it really important? But other times it's like, nope, drop everything. This has to be done right now. And that becomes a critical task that needs to be done. It's sort of like your worst case scenario type of thing. What is the worst thing that can possibly happen? if we don't complete this task. And that's the way you can look at it for the critical. My next level down, I say, is a high level task. Obviously, it's not critical. It's pretty important or urgent. Tasks that are due within the next few days or within a week, that have that timeline. And sometimes I prioritize meetings and appointments in this high category instead of critical, because a lot of times you can move appointments or meetings. Now, again, you have to use your judgment. If it's an important client meeting, right? You don't want to blow them off. You kind of have to keep it, so you might move it up to the critical level. But again, it depends on your business and how you look at that. It's your decision, but that's kind of what we do. As far as medium bugs, though, or medium enhancements or medium tasks, I should say, these are all, to me, they're sort of that gray area. They're important. They're important enough, that they have to be done at some point. They can wait a little while. But you have to be careful with putting a lot of things into medium or even the low. And, low is sort of, we know we might need this at some point. We want to keep it on the radar. But periodically we'll review low and either move it up to a medium, or sometimes we'll just remove it because it's upon reassessment, it's just not that necessary. So those are the low levels are those ones that could be real-time sucks that we seem to be focused on. And a lot of times, if you're not focusing on the critical and the high and you're focusing on the medium or the low, sometimes that could be you just procrastinating. You have to do those big high level ones and you go, oh, I just can't face it this morning. And you wind up, wasting a lot of time in the medium and the low. So you got to be careful when you still prioritize between medium and low and where you're going to put your time and effort into. A lot of the medium and the lows, when I categorize those, I try to delegate those type of prioritized tasks. And a good example of that would be if you're working on a project where you're automating forms and letters in a software system. And there's a lot of forms and letters that are existing. They could be client letters, operational letters. You need to catalog those. This could be for reports as well, because a lot of times software users ask for a lot of reports and they're never really documented. And at some point you have to go through and go, wow, there's too many reports here. You're comparing apples to oranges. Whatever that is, you could delegate that piece to an operations person to go through and say, okay, here are all the reports, here are all the forms and letters and templates, and catalog all of that information. So those are things that have to be done. They're sort of in that medium area. Eventually they may become high if nobody does them and you have to do it. But when they're at that medium level, it's a great time to try to delegate that when you're in, requirement meetings and we're assigning tasks to people. Whoever might be the key stakeholder, you could definitely do that and assign those away. So that gives you a little bit of a breather in your task list. And once you've assigned all the priorities, the next thing you want to do is try to assess just how much effort each of those tasks will take. Is it going to be hours? Is it going to be days? Is it going to be weeks? Sometimes, and once you do that, actually, for the critical and the high, I definitely assign a due date. So once you figure out the level of effort, put in a due date, and that'll help motivate you to complete it. And sometimes if you get a break, and I'll explain in a minute, but you're going to select the different tasks to do each day. You may find that if you have a little bit of free time and you look into the level of effort and you say, oh, that's only going to take me an hour and I just happen to have an hour, you can knock that task off, even though it's not necessarily part of your day. It's just you may be in flux. You might be waiting for more information on the task that you said you were going to work on today. And you just have that one little window and you want to be productive. So you can definitely do that. So once you assign, assess the level of effort and give those high and criticals a due date, now you want to work the list. And if you're going to work the list, you want to identify three priority items to do for the day. Now, a lot of websites out there will tell you, start early in the day on those three tasks. Well, not necessarily. I know, for example, that Kathleen would not start early on a task because she works differently. She likes to work a little later in the afternoon. Her high level of energy tends to be late afternoon, well into the evening. I get up very early. I stay up very late, but I get up very early, and I like to get a lot of stuff done in the morning. So for me, yes, I would start early in the morning. But the point being is that you want to spend most of your time or most of that day working on one. If there's critical items, you work on those first. Once you get through the critical, then you work on the high. If there's a critical item that's dependent on something else, then by all means pick a high, but you want to work on the critical and high, and you want to pick three. Why only three? If you pick five, you get in that mindset, oh, I can't get it done, I can't get it done, I can't get it done. If you pick three, even two, if they're bigger tasks, then when you get that done, you're like, oh, I'm okay. I got that done for the day. That's what I wanted to get done. Oh, look, I have all this extra time. Let me just work on something else. It could be another high priority. There may not be enough time or people to work with on the high priority. Well, maybe I'll work on two mediums. It's all depending on how you're working. But the idea is to prioritize them with, the high level of importance. Get those done first and work your way down. But you can mix it up a little bit if you need to, if you have some extra free time. So the final piece then, as far as working your list, is to actually work the list. So you want to have a formula for focus, right? You want to look right at that task and have as little distractions as possible. And you want to just focus your time and just completely immerse yourself in what you're doing. So for that, it's like shut off your phones, put your phones away, no social media, turn off the TV. If you listen to music, don't sing along with it. I can't do it. I always put on some kind of musical where there's nothing where I can sing along to because I find that distracting. But you just want to focus and concentrate on that task and keep moving that task forward. And it doesn't have to be perfect. A lot of authors will tell you when they're writing, just keep moving forward. You can go back and edit later. Turn off that editor, that internal editor in your head, and try to get the bulk of the work done in the first part of whatever time you've allotted. And then you can always go back and clean it up. But try to complete that task as you said you would. I think maybe we need to just take a little commercial break. So anyway, if you're finding this interesting, Kathleen, if I didn't take this break, Kathleen would have a stroke. But if you're finding this information interesting, you want to invite anyone, please share the link. If you want to like or follow us, definitely do that. If you have any ideas for shows, we get a lot of our ideas from people writing in that they need more information about a certain subject. Please do that. We love to hear from you. We're here for you. We have a lot of years experience, and we can definitely create a future show around whatever requests you have, or if you need more, if you have a more immediate need, you can email us and we'll get right back to you. And again, that's what we do. That's what we love to do, and we're here for you. So, ask questions. Feel free. There are no stupid questions, and we'll definitely get back to you. Okay, so business done. And did I say? And don't forget to sign up for our wow, right out of my head. This is what happens when you don't have a task list. I'm just saying. Anyway, I'll get back to it. It'll come back into my head. Again, add that to your task list so you don't forget. That's one of the biggest things, right? Okay, so as far as distractions go, okay, so some things are going to happen. And sometimes during the day, you're going to have to reassess your task list. Things happen, emergencies come up. You want to build a little time into your day each day, give yourself a little, buffer so that you might have to reassess, you might have to refocus on what you're doing. So, and either at the beginning of the day or at the end of your day, create tomorrow's list. Hopefully you've completed the task you needed to. Click it off. I'm happy because I was able to do that. Makes you feel good. If not, say that's the first thing I'm going to work on in the morning to finish it up. So you're going to do this every day. So the big master list is just to get you going. And then every day you're going to look at that. And maybe monthly, you're going to look back at the master list and just see if anything's missing or you need to take care of certain things. So what are some other tips that we can give you other than creating your lists, your to-do lists? There's other things that you can do. What I like to call repeat offenders, taking care of repeat offenders. So emails. Email is a huge time suck, like social media. But emails, as far as work email goes, if you have the luxury of turning off your email for parts of the day or putting on your messenger that you are not available, if you have that luxury, do it. Book yourself time, schedule time, even if you use Outlook or whatever, schedule time for you to work on these tasks. That means people will not interrupt you, and you will not pick up those emails and respond, because everybody likes to be very responsive. But honestly, if they need you that badly, if there's a messaging system, or they can call you. Most of the time, a lot of these emails, we just get distracted. Oh, here comes an email. And we just might be a CC on that, copied on it. And we're like responding right away when we don't need to. And a lot of those emails even resolve themselves if you just wait an hour. So really try to, turn that off if you can, or create specific times during the day when you will respond to those emails, because they're just a huge, that just being there and ready. And we're all that way now because of social media. We're constantly, I've got something, I need to respond right away, but that's not necessarily true. So give yourself a break and remove that distraction as much as you can to focus on the task at hand. You can also do a lot of things like organizing your email. You can, if you're looking at an email right away, do something with it. Archive it if it's information that you need to keep. If you have different like Outlook or Google, you can list some things as urgent, waiting, or, you can flag different types of emails so that you can look at it later. You can create, especially if you're a business analyst, you can create sort of like canned responses. We call them canned, like a canned message, a canned response. It's not so much a canned response, but if you're sort of looking for, say, feedback on requirements, and you write that type of email all the time, just create a canned thing. You can pop it right in there, create a template. The same way with when you need requirements sign off. If it's the same type of blur, you just need to edit a little bit, pop that in. It saves you a few seconds, but you'd be surprised when you start shaving off all these minutes, the time that it gives you back. And again, keep your emails as short as possible when you're responding. People sort of check out, and I don't know, I've been doing emails a long time, and after the first paragraph, if it's too long, people check out. They're really not paying that much attention. They don't have time to. There's a bazillion emails coming through, and one's just as important as the other to most people. So keep them as short as possible. These are just little tricks to keep you moving along quickly. And, you can also turn off the notifications for the emails, the dinging and things that would bother you. Another big time suck, and we all know this when we're scheduling, is meetings. Again, you can create a meeting for yourself and carve out time so that you can get your tasks done. If you don't need to attend a meeting, learn to say no. Especially if they're giving follow-up emails on those meetings. If you really don't need to attend them, we all attend too many meetings to the point where it is super unproductive. I mean, nobody's getting any work done because you're sitting in meetings all the time. Or if you're in a meeting, you're sort of multitasking to try to keep up with your tasks. So you're really not paying attention to what's going on in the meeting anyway. I don't know why no one realizes this yet. Management doesn't realize it. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do stand-up meetings now for 15-minute meetings. So you have to be on point. You have to be focused with your material, and that works well too. So you can just shorten those meeting times. We're getting long on time. And those are some of those key points. Again, part of getting your job done too is organizing, being really organized as much as you can. There's a tremendous amount of time suck. And if you go through, when you're tracking your activities, I know for a fact that a lot of people, and I can be guilty of this too, but I tend to try to reduce it as much as possible, is you're constantly looking for something, right? You can't find it. It's in God, God knows where it's in your filing system. Take some time. That could be a task in itself to go through and create understandable labels for yourself where you can find information. People spend a lot of time looking for things. They just don't know where things are. Was it an email? I should have flagged that email. Is it a document? If you have requirements documents, you want to definitely put them in certain areas. If you have, your data dictionary, you want to be able to find it. Any of these pieces that you use to build your requirements documents, you need to be able to find them quickly. QA calls up and says, what did you mean by this particular thing on this requirements document? And they do that. You have to quickly be able to find that document amongst maybe 5 or 6 projects that you're working on at the same time. So try to be as organized as possible, and that will also help your time frame. I think that's probably my top. There's a whole bunch of notes, but I'm pretty sure that's sort of my top tips for keeping you on track with time management. But really, it's more about self-management. So it's not all about we can't control time. We might be able to bend it just a little bit, but that takes and requires self-management. So again, I hope this was helpful. We're at 8:31, and I hope everybody had a great time. And again, if you have any questions or afterthoughts or comments or ideas for the show, please go to thebazone.com and leave us a suggestion or a comment. Again, we love to hear from you, and I thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking your time out to be with us, valuable time, and I hope it was well worth it. Again, everybody, have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. So long. Take care, everyone.